Everybody knows the story of Bambi. A young deer grows up in the forest, makes friends, explores nature, until he's left to his own devices after his mother is tragically shot by a hunter. But I know what you're thinking. Wouldn't it be cool if Bambi was a giant mutant that killed people? Oh, you weren't thinking that? Well, that's a shame, because that is the plotline of Bambi the Reckoning, the latest horror film based on a public domain character. Now, I really hate to inform you that this movie has sauce. It's sauced up to the high heavens. Unfortunately, it is dripping in it. It's not a good movie by any means. There's definitely some issues. But there's some moments in this that just go so unnecessarily hard. It alternates between looking like an A24 movie and the regular horror movie slop that we were all expecting. The design of Bambi is even inspired by the creature from The Ritual. And yeah, I definitely see it. But maybe this is kind of part of the problem. If anything, this movie takes itself a little too seriously for what it actually is. This movie takes place in the same connected universe as Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. This is all supposedly going to culminate next year with a crossover called Poohniverse Monsters Assemble, a very timely Avengers reference. It's just what audiences want right now, another connected universe. It's going to feature an array of public domain characters from a variety of works, including Tigger, Pinocchio, Sleeping Beauty, the Cheshire Cat, and more. Let me tell you, I'm going to be seated in a different cinema, because that sounds terrible. I don't understand what that movie could possibly look like. Maybe they're all gonna fight or something. Winnie the Pooh better hope that Bambi's on his team, because there's no way he's standing a chance against this absolute monster. Although this is meant to be based off the 1928 book version of the character, base level Disney movie Bambi was a serious threat already. He'd fought a pack of dogs, took a gunshot wound, and still walked it off to become the king of the forest. Using a large hoofed animal for a horror movie is something that's been tossed up quite a bit before. About 10 years ago, I remember Kevin Smith announced he was going to make a movie called Moose Jaws, which was going to be like Jaws, but instead of a shark, it was going to be a moose. And it was going to star the guy from Epic Mealtime. Sounds like I made that up, but I swear it's true. It was meant to be a part of a trilogy of movies that started with Tusk. That's the movie where the guy gets turned into the walrus. I kind of liked that movie, so I was looking forward to Moose Jaws. And I think it's a pretty good idea. Mooses are known to be terrifying. They're one of the largest and scariest land animals that we've got. This movie is still supposedly happening, but they've taken their sweet time. Meanwhile, this Bambi movie was bashed out pretty quick, and I kind of feel like it did everything that Moose Jaws could have possibly done, which just goes to show that you should follow your dreams right now before someone else does it for you. But I am willing to say that this is probably the first time having one of these children's characters turn into a horrific monster actually makes sense. It doesn't feel forced in the same way that a lot of these other ones are. Bambi, of all characters, has every reason to want to exact some kind of revenge on humanity. They didn't have to jump through the same hoops that a lot of these other horror movies have to do, and I appreciate it for that. To be fair though, Bambi isn't exactly a complex character. Kind of the whole point of them is that they are meant to be a normal deer. And in this, he is a normal deer until certain events unfold, and he evolves in a way that I don't think anyone could have expected. And let me tell you, he's not the only one. In this video, you might have noticed something a bit different about me. Lately, I've been going through a slight crisis in fashion. Something was missing from my life. Today, I've elevated my sense of style with a watch and ring from Holzkern. Holzkern is a watch and jewelry brand founded in Austria that makes unique products for both men and women. They're made from a variety of natural materials like wood, stone, and crystal, as they were inspired by the alpine landscape. A little fun fact, the word Holzkern means wood core in German. I'm going to a wedding towards the end of the month, so I was looking for the perfect accessories to bring my outfit together. So I picked up an Astra watch, which features a grey marble dial and a satisfyingly smooth walnut wood exterior. I really wanted to get something that was totally different from other watches that I'd seen before. Have something just a little less basic. And because it's natural materials, this specific patterning is always going to be unique to me, kinda like a fingerprint. And the stainless steel band was easily adjustable to fit my skinny wrists. To match, I got this walnut and ceramic sumo ring. There's so much variety in the products, I highly suggest you give them a look yourself. Every single one of them is manufactured in small quantities to ensure responsible and ethical production. With the Christmas period just around the corner, I think these make for unique and memorable presents. Perfect for your partner or a parent, you know, the special people in your life. They've got free worldwide shipping straight from Vienna, with your order showing up in 5 to 9 business days. If you're from the US, the customs fees are already sorted. Holzkern is currently having their biggest sale of the year, where you can get an exclusive 30% off if you use my link in the description or the pinned comment. This is only for a limited time, so get in quick. Give them a look and see if you can find something that's right for you. Thank you to Holzkern for sponsoring this video. In this, we see a forest floor covered in litter, as the storybook flickers open and tells the story of Bambi. It's all done in this cute little art style that I really appreciated. I really like when these movies address their storybook origin. It always does feel like the right way to start them. That being said, a lot of them are doing it now. It's probably gonna get old soon. In standard Bambi practice, his mother is shot. But this isn't the defining moment that turns him against humanity. We see him grow up, meet his dear wife, have a kid. Unfortunately, due to logging and an encroaching human presence, his partner is hit by a car, his kid runs into the forest out of fear, and he's hit with a shovel for some reason. Whoever's out there hitting deers with shovels, you're crazy. A pharmaceutical company has been dumping chemicals into the water, so when Bambi awakes and drinks from the poisoned waterway, he mutates into a creature hell-bent on revenge. I think it would have been really easy to make him just hate humanity based on the death of his mother, but I really like now how we can imagine that the entire events of the Disney movie took place before this, and now he's got double trauma. In this particular genre of horror movie, a lot of the time we see a certain disdain for the original characters. They often say that something was dark and messed up the entire time, feel the need to kind of put a sick twist on it. From memory, in the Winnie the Pooh one, there's some kind of genetic experiments. In the Popeye movie, he was bullied for having deformed arms. In this Bambi one, it feels more like they're simply expanding on the original source. They're keeping the environmental message of the pre-existing material and expanding upon it. Bambi was messed up the whole time. He was a regular deer who was pushed too far. We're then introduced to a group of hunters who are practicing shooting at this dead pheasant. This guy's not a particularly good shot, missing a stationary target and all. This older bloke asks him if he's ever shot a deer, and he's like, no. Have you? And then he says, yeah, once. Now, if we listen to this isolated, it sounds sick. I think the implication we're meant to get from this is that maybe he's the one that killed Bambi's mother. But later on in the movie, we'll find out that this whole interaction is completely ridiculous. We're then introduced to the main characters. We've got single mother Zana and her sad iPad kid Benji. They're headed to her ex-husband's place for Thanksgiving, although from what we hear of the conversation on the phone, it's kind of implied that her ex-husband is backing out of coming. But she kind of just decides that she's gonna lie to her kid and just pretend that he's gonna be there. I guess it's just an issue for later. This is the annoying human element plotline that we're gonna be focusing on as the big deer kills people. They head off in a taxi with a friendly but easily distracted driver. He gets so distracted that he hits a deer, and that deer is Bambi. But it's more apt to say that Bambi hits them, because they go absolutely flying. I thought this moment looked incredible. I literally couldn't believe that I was watching a low-budget Bambi horror movie from the same people who a couple of years ago whipped a mask on a guy and called him Winnie the Pooh. Honestly, it's impressive to see how far they've come in such a short time. Don't worry too much though, I assure you the movie goes downhill from here. For now, let's just focus on how incredible this effect is for such a low budget. Bambi starts jumping all over the car, but our main characters escape, leaving the taxi driver to be crushed. Meanwhile, back at the house, we're introduced to the rest of the family. This is where I'm going to start doing names. Don't worry about remembering them too much. Zana's ex-husband, who's not in the movie yet, has 2 brothers, Andrew and Joshua. Andrew has a wife named Harriet and a teenage son called Harrison. Harriet and Harrison are not related in any way, but they do have the similar quality of being terrible and annoying. And then there's Mary, Benji's grandmother, who has some kind of dementia, but also prophetic visions going on. Some kind of connection to Bambi. She does a lot of weird sketching and painting of him. She even knows his name somehow. I think the whole reason for this is because someone needed to say the word Bambi in the movie. So if she didn't have this psychic connection, then no one would know his name was Bambi because the deer can't talk. Zana and Benji manage to escape the deer and make it to the house, where they explain to everyone what's going on. And everyone's surprisingly chill about it for some reason, considering they just watched someone die. Joshua decides he's going to go out and see if he can help the taxi driver and hopefully get cell reception. And nobody decides to stop him. I have no idea why nobody's freaked out about this whole thing. She just watched this monster flip a car. Don't let anyone outside. What are we doing here? I guess she could be in shock or something, but it. She doesn't really seem like it. But Joshua goes out, and worst of all, he goes out on foot. He doesn't even take the car out. The group of hunters discover the wrecked car, finding Zana's phone, so they now know that there's a survivor out there somewhere. They hear a little noise out in the forest, and one of them shoots, which kills Bambi, and the movie ends. Nah, they accidentally just shoot Joshua. The poor dude didn't even get to see Bambi. It's an unfortunate circumstance. I guess wear your high vis in the forest. This guy just picked the worst time to learn how to aim. They end up taking Joshua's body back to the truck to hide the evidence. Back at the house, Grandma Mary starts getting a bad vibe. Bambi is on his way. Now, I'm embarrassed to say that this scene actually made me jump. She's just staring out the window. It's all quiet and eerie-like until suddenly a pheasant is thrown at the window. And who threw this pheasant? Well, it was Bambi, somehow. I think it is very funny to think about this deer trying to throw a bird. Bambi takes a moment to aura farm for a bit before bursting into the home. I thought this was a very ambitious move, considering that this guy is absolutely massive, and they needed him to somehow chase people around the house. So they just kind of have him bust through doorways. This has varying degrees of success in terms of how it looks, but overall, with this film's pretty tiny budget, it's honestly incredible what they were able to achieve. I feel like they get points for ambition, to say the least. That is until they start having him try to open doors. Then they started to lose me a little bit. What were they thinking with this? It's pretty funny though. It kind of reminds me of that bit from Jurassic Park. They also have him drool on this lady, which felt very alien. Another thing I liked about this whole scene is they've just got this whole bit where they just throw random objects at it. It felt like a pretty real response that not a lot of horror movies lean into. But that's the thing with this movie. There's a lot of funny stuff, but it's not really played for laughs. It feels like something was lost between the script and the filming or the editing. It all feels a little too serious for what this movie actually is. Tonally, this movie is just a little bit off. I mean, this lady gets stabbed in the ass with an antler, but it doesn't feel funny. It just feels bad, which I suppose is what that would be like in real life. It wouldn't be that funny. Everyone jumps into the RV except for Harriet. She's caught trying to outrun it, where we get to see Bambi in full illuminated glory. She somehow gets completely severed in half by his antlers. Rest in peace, Harriet. Another thing I really liked is how they captured his animalistic mannerisms. They've made Bambi feel like an actual wild beast rather than a stock standard, barely animated monster. You can tell that they got a lot of inspiration from nature footage. When it gives chase, Harrison engages in his favorite activity, throwing random objects at the monster. It doesn't go well, but it doesn't get any worse. So there's that. After a pretty hectic chase scene, they managed to get away, but considering we're not even halfway through the movie, they couldn't have gotten that away. The hunters go and investigate the house, adding a breaking and entering charge onto the manslaughter charge that they've already got. They find the cut-in-half body of Harriet, who is somehow still alive. What can we say? She's a trooper. The main hunter puts her out of her misery, but he seems to enjoy it just a little too much. Before this scene, he seemed alright. Now, he's a bit of a creep. The camper van crew comes across a tree lying in the middle of the road. And just in case you weren't paying any attention, Andrew decides to say that there's a massive tree blocking the road. You didn't need to say it, man. We know. The car is stopped. There's a big tree there. The movie doesn't trust you to pay attention when the big deer's not on the screen. He also says that this is somehow Simon's fault because they're only there because he didn't want to hang out with his kid, which is a terrible thing to say in front of that kid. They come up with a plan to move the tree. They're going to tie it to the back of the car while Zana, Harrison, and Andrew push the tree. And young Benji is going to drive. I'm glad they're not going to let this tree stop him. Sounds like a great plan. I don't think anything could go wrong. Before the plan can be put in motion, Bambi shows up. In a panic, Benji drives off in the car with Zana and Mary inside. The rope gets caught around Andrew's leg, so he gets to go along for the ride, while Harrison is left alone. I don't know if Andrew getting pulled away like this is meant to be intentionally funny or unintentionally funny. Regardless, it is funny. Harrison runs off into the forest to hide from Bambi, but ends up falling face down in what I think is meant to be shit. And he's got to remain face down to not draw attention to himself. Again, weirdly, this doesn't feel like it's being played for laughs. It's just kind of weird and sketchy. When Bambi is about to eat him, he hears a deer noise and follows it out into the forest. Harrison gets to survive, although if I was him, I'd wish I was dead. Shh. Don't tell Benji, he doesn't know yet, but he's killed his uncle. His face is so mushed up, I dare not show it in a YouTube video. Benji comes out to see if he's okay, leaving his grandma unattended, who just kind of slowly waddles off into the forest. So now they gotta run off and catch that grandma. Speaking of catching, let's catch up with Harrison, who's lost in the forest and covered in shit. He stumbles across an adorable little rabbit, who's certainly a reference to Thumper. He has a pretty normal reaction to seeing this rabbit. He kicks it as hard as he possibly can. This is the first moment in the movie where I knew it was funny. As more rabbits slowly begin to approach him, we find out that they too are mutated. And he falls headfirst into a bear trap, and he is killed when the rabbits slowly devour him. I thought this whole scene was really well done. The rabbits are surprisingly menacing. It's a little funny. It's a little scary. It's a little reminiscent of Monty Python. Bit weird that there was just a big moment of him surviving Bambi, only for in the next scene, him to be killed by rabbits. I would have maybe spaced that out a bit. Also, if we're looking at the kill count here, more people have died to non-Bambi related reasons than have died to Bambi. Not something I mind at all, I just thought it was interesting. Zana and Benji catch up with Grandma Mary, and it seems that they've stumbled into the lair of the beast. As we can see, Bambi has been on a bit of a massacre, and it's a marvel nobody noticed so many missing people sooner. Naturally, Bambi shows up and the gang's gotta make a dash. Thank goodness they're much faster than the mutant deer. When they stumble onto the road, they're picked up by one of the hunters, who takes them to safety, where he promises that they'll call the police. It's quite a cute setup they've got. It's a little rustic, but the fairy lights really bring everything together. It turns out that Simon is situated here. That's Benji's dad and Zana's ex-husband. He's shocked to see them, which is surprising because this isn't that far away from the house that they're all meant to be meeting at. Simon and Zana have a pretty long and confusing argument here, while Benji and Mary just hang out in the other room. The walls are thin, falling apart, and they also left the door ajar, so he can hear every single word that they're saying. Simon takes the news that pretty much his whole family is dead remarkably well, and he makes it pretty clear that he has no interest in having a relationship with his son. Simon also reveals that he is responsible for dumping the chemicals that have mutated all of the animals, and that he and the hunters are there to clean up any evidence of this happening before the police find out. Now, with this knowledge, let's jump back to the first scene. They've got this guy who can't hit a stationary target, and this guy who shot a deer once. You think that they could have put together a better crew to deal with this here? Maybe get a couple of people who actively hunt. They're a pharmaceutical company. They got the money to organize this. Zana finds out that these people definitely aren't gonna let her call the police. We also see various other animals that have been mutated and killed. I'm not sure what, if anything, these are meant to be references to. There's a badger and a, something. I feel like they should prioritize the rabbit problem, because that's the one that seems to be getting a little out of hand. Bambi's just one deer. These rabbits are an army. Benji, obviously upset, left while the couple were arguing, and he finds out that the hunters are keeping a baby deer in a cage. This is for a little trap that the group of hunters is making to draw out Bambi. So the baby deer is Bambi's child who was missing in the storybook intro. I feel like this is all pretty unnecessary. I don't think you need Bambi's kid to draw him out. He seems to be drawn out pretty easily by people just existing. But I guess it's a pretty good way for the audience to start feeling empathy. Once the trap is set, one of the hunters walks out into the forest to urinate. Probably the dumbest move you can make in this situation. Don't do that after you've set the trap. Obviously, he's killed. Then the other hunter goes out to find out what happened to that guy, and he also comes across Bambi. He gets chased around for a little while, but eventually he is also killed. Zana and Simon finally realize that Benji is missing, so they go out to find him. Benji is currently freeing the fawn, who has now been left unattended. He's probably feeling a bit of a connection to this deer. I bet he's wishing that his dad cared about him the way that Bambi cares about his son. Bambi's running amok in the camp until he comes across Grandma Mary. We get a bit of an alien moment before he turns away and instead targets one of the hunters who is in hiding. Bambi starts breaking through the door doing a shining, and this lady responds by one-upping his movie reference. She does a Jaws and shoots a gas canister, blowing up herself and Bambi. Also potentially Grandma Mary, who was in the house at the time. All the remaining survivors are gathered. We got Benji the fawn, Zana, Simon, and that one hunter. The hunter's got Benji at gunpoint, but he won't give up the baby deer. Don't worry about how the fawn looks at the moment. He's alive and well, I swear. Simon has the chance to be father of the year, but instead, he sides with the hunter. In this moment, Bambi is revealed to have survived the explosion. He simply walked it off. He's built different. The hunter stands no chance as Bambi takes him out. Crisis averted. Hooray. Except it's not. Zana and Simon fight over the fine. Simon is not ready to do a prison sentence. And while those two face off, Benji is facing off with Bambi. Simon sees his chance and just books it. He really sucks. There's a bit of a tense moment, but everything is sorted when Zana realizes that Bambi just wants his baby back. In turn, Bambi spares them. After a touching moment where the two reunite, Bambi gives him a little lick with his weird tongue. The hunter shows up and starts blasting. All things considered, it seems like it was actually pretty easy to take Bambi down. The deer stood no chance against this small pistol. And while Bambi isn't bulletproof, neither is the hunter, because he gets his head blown apart by Grandma Mary, who also survived the explosion somehow. Not only did she survive the explosion, it cured her dementia. Weird to say. The Wikipedia article literally states that she has recovered from her dementia, so I'm gonna take that for its word. They never actually explained why she had some kind of psychic connection to Bambi. It never really came into the plot at all. I think they just wanted someone to know the deer's name was Bambi. You think at one point in the movie they would make her ability helpful, but every single time someone asks her a question, she responds with nonsense, and no one gets anything out of it. So I don't know why they did that, but don't worry, she's fine now. Simon, while driving away, gets unceremoniously killed by a single rabbit. A bit of a shame for that guy. Zana, Benji, and Mary stand around as Bambi bleeds out in front of his kid, and his son cries out into the sky. A sad song starts to play, and the movie ends. Bambi is dead. I'm not sure how he's meant to come back for that one crossover movie. Initially, I thought they were writing him out here because I can imagine this is a costly thing to animate. But in the end credits, they claim he's coming back. There's no scene to hint how he's gonna come back, so we can only speculate. I can see a situation where maybe they just resurrect him, or maybe his son will take on the mantle and continue the cycle of violence. Who's to say, really? Not me. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I was really surprised how sad this ending was. It hit a little harder than I expected for a Bambi horror movie. Maybe just a little too hard. Feels crazy that the dude who took an explosion point blank proceeded to then die from 5 shots from a small pistol. Even Disney Bambi could handle gunshot wounds. They could have at least done this with a high caliber rifle. Feels like they just wanted an excuse to have Bambi die at the end. But again, you know, we can't complain. Bambi's coming back. In what form? Who we don't know. Hopefully stronger than ever. Maybe bulletproof this time. I don't know why they struggled so much to take Bambi out. This felt very easy. Now, I don't say this lightly, but from what I've seen, I think this movie is maybe the best of its kind. That's not to say I thought it was good, but I think it could have been good. Plot's not super thought out, and the script is wobbly. There's definitely an issue with the tone, but it was kind of a fun watch. I wasn't mad about it at any point. I feel like the CGI could have been terrible, but at most points it wasn't. It was actually pretty good. The directing as well, for the most part, pretty good. The acting too. I'm kind of sad that the next one's going to be some kind of crossover because I would have just watched another movie about mutant animals in the forest eating people. I'm simple. I like that. I would recommend this to someone. I don't know who, but I would. As a reminder, I want to thank Holskin for sponsoring this video. You can use the link in the description or the pinned comment to get 30% off for a limited time only. If you like this video, please subscribe. We're almost at 100k. If you're interested in public domain horror movies, I've got a bunch of videos on that. Check out my one on Popeye's Revenge, which is about Popeye, or this one on Screamboat, which is like a new Mickey Mouse one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next video.